Hello and welcome to the Talk Villa podcast. I'm your host Samit Paul and we are Istanbul bound as Aston Villa produced a magnificent display in our 4-0 win over Nottingham Forest on Thursday night, overturning a 1-0 deficit from the first leg of our semi-final tie. Now it was an incredible night at Villa Park, which we'll delve into in more detail shortly, but Villa have overcome that particular hurdle now, having fallen short in previous semi-finals. We will be in Istanbul on May the 20th for the Europa League Final. Now, time constraints over the bank holiday weekend meant I wasn't able to get a pod out earlier this week, but I can assure you I wasn't sulking that much to skip recording after the Tottenham defeat. But having said that, it certainly feels a lot better to be discussing this game in more detail. Now, as with every game, I'll be discussing my 5 key talking points as we have a deeper dive into our win over Forest. But first, let's have a listen to the boss, Unai Emery, and his thoughts on the game as he spoke to Villa TV.
Good evening, a special day today. It was a special day and the supporters, they understood it and they created an amazing atmosphere today. Amazing atmosphere. They were playing with us, they were transmitting their energy, their wishes. And to win this competition is very important, the wishes, desires, and to show it during the process we are doing it. And the players responded fantastic on the field. After the first leg, we were planning this match, improving things. We needed to improve things, especially some duels. We weren't performing well there, especially as well in some momentum when we were dominating, be more ruthless, be more clinical. And today everything we worked after the first leg, improving, trying to improve, we did it. I am so proud of how we did today the match, the players, they were responding, and the supporters, and of course it's something so special. And to play one final in Istanbul, of course, is something we can feel proud of how we achieved it, and now enjoy the process again, enjoy the final, enjoy traveling, enjoy preparing the game, and of course respecting the competition, respecting the final, respecting the German team, Fribourg, 50% deposited for both teams, but makes sense everything. In the process, we are working and sometimes struggling to get the final like we are playing in 2 weeks. Yes, every player. When it's one match like that, for the circumstances after the first leg, the second leg, and the semi-final played here in Villa Park, we needed all the players be ready, all the players in the same motivation, in the same commitment, like they show with the players on the field. But I think now. Everybody is ready to play to help, and Lindelof, how he did is really fantastic as well.
That was Unai Emery speaking to Villa TV after our 4-0 win over Forest in the second leg of our Europa League semi-final tie. So on to my 5 key talking points then, and let's start with the atmosphere at Villa Park on Thursday night. Now, we've been fortunate to experience and enjoy some amazing games and particularly European nights at Villa Park in recent times. The ones that kind of stick out in my head at least are the wins over PSG and Bayern in the Champions League, and then beating Brighton on the last day of the season to secure Europa Conference League football the following campaign. Those are some more recent ones under Emery. There's obviously going to be more and other examples that others will point to, but the atmosphere generated for this game against Forest will probably be one that lives long in my memory at least. Emery and the players all called on the fans again to get behind the team for such an important night, stick together after our failures against Tottenham, and they undoubtedly got the reaction that they desired, and then plenty on top of that. So whether it was the pre-match build-up, the roaring of the players on as we set about turning the tie around, or making it as hostile as possible whenever Forest had the ball, there is absolutely no denying that it made a key difference to the outcome of this game, and so the supporters across all 4 stands deserve a huge amount of credit. Obviously, we're not going to get that week in and week out, but this was a massive, massive game for us, and the supporters certainly didn't disappoint. On to the second point, and that is a relentless Villa produced a perfect response. Now, there were serious question marks and concerns, at least for me, after our defeat to Tottenham. Villa ultimately failed to turn up in another important game, and I think the manner in which we lost that game ahead of such a crunch clash was really, really disappointing. So a response was absolutely needed in this one, and that is exactly what we got from both Emery and the players. The tactical setup from the Villa boss was perfect. He sent the players out with the right approach, dominated from the first minute. We overran and suffocated Forest, just like Tottenham did to us on Sunday. We won duels across the pitch, We were losing them all over the place against Spurs. And ultimately, we played in unison with the atmosphere so that everyone fed off each other. As a result, the players were exceptional in carrying out their duties. We were switched on from the first minute to the last. We nullified Forest's threat. I thought that the counter-attack would be a problem for us, but we were able to stay on top of that and limit it. And we continued to create openings at the other end. So for me, it was a joy to watch us produce this kind of display in such an important and decisive game. And hopefully, we'll see more of that moving forward. The third point is singling out Victor Lindelof for praise, having stepped up and played a key role in this game. Now, signing Lindelof on a free transfer last summer continues to look like an inspired piece of business from the club. He's been a reliable presence every time he's been called upon so far this season, and once again, he didn't disappoint on Thursday night when we needed him. I thought he produced a critical display, both as an individual in isolation, but also as part of the tactical setup too. I thought he was vital in providing defensive protection, breaking up Forest's attack, giving us that presence in front of the back line, but also when he was dropping back into a back three. When we were in possession, he provided freedom for the likes of Cash, McGinn and others to move up the pitch and carry on with their assignments, knowing that Lindelof's got their back behind him and that he'd be able to sweep up and give them that reassurance. It feels harsh picking out individuals for praise because I think every single player that was on the pitch in this game contributed in some form and significantly. But coming into the team, needing to do a job for the team, Lindelof is worthy of being singled out in my opinion, as I thought he was fantastic once again. The fourth point is that John McGinn leads by example. Now, I recently wrote about how McGinn is the leader that Villa need in this moment that we're in right now, and he absolutely proved that exactly why in this game. Putting aside the brilliance of his 2 goals, as I thought he just showed unbelievable composure and class in putting the tie to bed and booking our spot in the final, his intensity, his determination, his desire, all showed from the moment that the game started. He helped set the tone and the standard for his teammates. I think we all appreciate and accept that he's such an influential figure, both in and out of possession. And of course, he is a fan's favourite. He galvanises the supporters, he gets us on our feet, and he helps build that atmosphere that we spoke about. We should praise every single player that contributed, but I just thought McGinn was exceptional. He led from the front, and it was just so important to get him back from this game after his injury setback. On to the fifth and final point, and that is that Villa have overcome a major hurdle, and now it's time for the big one. So as amazing as the last 3 years or so have been under Emery, there's no denying that our semi-final disappointments have really hurt. Results won't always go our way, that's football, but the performances we produced against Olympiacos, particularly Crystal Palace in the semi-final of the FA Cup last season, and even Manchester United with the Champions League football on the line at the end of last season, those games really did sting and raise some question marks about this team. So for me, this was a massive, massive obstacle to overcome from a mentality perspective for this group. We stood up to the pressure of both the situation and the occasion. The occasion itself was huge. It's a semi-final of a Europa League. We've got a chance to take a step closer to get into winning a trophy, but also the situation off the back of the Tottenham disappointment, the way we played in that game, that for me just ramped up the pressure on the team and the players to deliver such a brilliant performance in those circumstances. I think that's a massive, massive moment for us. Now, naturally, the job is not done. We should enjoy this moment, this win, and getting to the final, but the biggest challenge still lies ahead of us. And hopefully, this is the catalyst now in itself that helps us shed that doubt, that anxiety over not turning up in decisive games, having that sort of tag lingering and hovering over the players of bottling it. We turned up for this one and we put in an unbelievable performance. And so now it's time to go all the way, both this season and beyond. It's just about breaking those hurdles, those mental barriers that perhaps are holding the players back and making them think twice. Getting past the semi-final is one thing. If we can go on now to win the final, it's going to be absolutely huge for us. So fingers crossed we can go on to Istanbul and get the job done. So what were your talking points from our win over Forest, and how does it feel for you that Villa will be competing in a European final in less than a fortnight? Let me know your thoughts. If you're listening on YouTube, leave your comments below. For those listening to the pod via Apple Podcasts, Spotify or other means, head over to talkvilla.substack.com and get involved in the conversation over there. So that's a wrap on this episode of the Talk Villa podcast. A big, big thank you as always for taking the time to have a listen. I really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the pod or channel, depending on where you're listening, either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Give the episode a like or leave a positive review if you've enjoyed it. All your interactions help me grow the channel, so as I say, it's always massively appreciated. You can sign up to the Talk Villa Plus newsletter on Substack for ad-free Villa news, opinions and analysis, all of which is delivered directly to you, and there's also an option of a paid subscription for bonus content. All the details will be in the description of this podcast, but for more, please go to talkvilla.substack.com and subscribe. So as I say, after a really difficult start to the week, after our defeat to Tottenham, Villa bounced back in style with a comprehensive win over Forest that books our spot in the Europa League Final. It was a sensational performance and a night as a whole, and hopefully we're able to finish the job in Istanbul now and end our trophy drought, having come close in recent seasons. There is still a job to do on Sunday, as if we beat Burnley, we'll hopefully secure our place in the Champions League through that particular route, and more importantly, I guess, it just helps continue to build the momentum and confidence now at a critical point in the season, heading as we get closer and closer towards the Europa League Final on May 20th. I'll be back after the game on Sunday with another pod as we also now gear up towards the Europa League Final on May the 20th. I'll have more content previewing that game in particular coming up, but until then, enjoy the win, villains, and up the Villa.